Mise en place. I don't speak French, but that's the principle. That's the name of the principle. So try to imagine it, mise en place, as a title here. And then it's flying away. So now, what is this principle? It basically, I think at least, means everything in place. And why is this so crucial? There are also a lot of other things connected to this topic, like functionalism, minimalism, essentialism. What I try to get out of all these nisms or mechanisms is, or the thing that I think makes sense the most, is functionalism. What is functionalism? This means you only own things and you also only do things that have a function. And if you don't do the thing, then they don't have a function. And if you are meditating, then of course meditating has a function. And even if the function also can be that it just doesn't serve a function. Do you understand? But you don't just randomly do things that don't have a function. And even if you do, they just have the function of not having a function. There's basically, of course, something that can be brought over everything we do. But now, coming back to mise en place, it's essentially about the tools in your life you have. This can be physical tools or digital tools. But imagine this. You are waking up and you're getting out of bed and you're just leaving the bed unmade. And for the rest of the day, the bed will be unmade until someone makes it. And if you're living alone and if somebody else doesn't do it for you, then you have to make the bed. Therefore, it won't go away. And it's the same with everything else. If you don't put things back into place, nobody will. The thing is also, if you put things back into place, back into the place where they belong, the only place you have to remember is not the thousands of places you just randomly put things whenever you don't want to clean up, because you are like just coming home from partying and then just putting your pants on the chair and throwing your cap onto the lamp, and then the next day you are like, yeah, but where's my phone? Oh well, where's my phone? Oh well, where's my phone? Because your phone doesn't have a natural place. Of course your phone doesn't have a natural place anyway, but just the place where you usually put it. That's the thing I'm talking about. I, for example, put my phone always in the right pocket. And if it's not in my pocket, and I'm also often like just, oh yeah, it's there, just controlling it if it's in my right pocket. I always put my keys in my left pocket. And if my keys are not in my left pocket, I know that something is wrong. I try to always, when I go out of the door, just put my keys and actually take a look at them. Because if I don't have the keys with me, and this is something that already happened, and also, I guess, will happen to you, if you don't have a habit that prevents you from doing this. It's not that. The thing is, of course, there will be like 99% of instances where you don't actually would have needed the habit because you already have the keys in your pocket. But the thing is, if you now remove the control, the quality control of actually taking a look at the keys every time you go out the door, then you increase the likelihood of this single instance, of this instance we don't want to happen, and the instance where you don't have your keys and now you close the door of your apartment. Now, what is mise en place? It's essentially the same thing, but just in the kitchen. Whenever you cook, of course you could start the recipe and like, yeah, let's just 400 grams of flour, let's just pour it in, and then eventually, and then it's like, oh yeah, but the eggs should go into the bowl before, because otherwise the flour just sticks to the floor of the bowl, and therefore that's not the best thing. And now you actually have to deal with a situation you just created. But if you would have done things like you are supposed to do, like the recipe says, or like you say to yourself that you are supposed to do, because that's something you came up with and now it's the optimal plan, then what happens is, then you just ran all day long, you're creating new situations, and new situations just take much more of your energy. We only have a certain decision power every single day, and if we create new decisions all the time, then this just means that our life is just much more complicated, as if it would have to be if we just created, for one, the habits, but for two, just put everything back into place. And putting everything back into place, of course, is also a habit. So now, what are examples? We already have the keys, we already have the phone, but I would say it's much more than this. What if every single item you own had its dedicated place? Why not? Why would this be not a thing? And this is something that actually helped me just so much in my life. I was like a very chaotic person for many years, and sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes I just turned into a chaot more and more. It's just like chaos came back into my life like again and again. And if I didn't control the chaos, it just was like up to the point where I was like, yeah, but now I gotta search 60 minutes for my phone. An example, I lost my phone for roughly 2 months. 2 months. And I couldn't remember where it was, and I searched for it and searched for it. The thing is, I eventually found it. I didn't even find it, but I found it, and it was in my home. And I just didn't find it because I didn't remember where I put it, because I put it into a place where I wouldn't remember. But if you put your phone only into places where your phone always is, then whenever you search for your phone, you just know that it has to be there, and if it's not there, then you lost it. It's as easy as this. An example. This also connects a little bit to minimalism, but having just clean surfaces everywhere in the kitchen, but also on your desk, and just having things in place everywhere. Then, so if you have many desks, for example, or a countertop, or the top of your drawer, it doesn't matter where it is. If you just have everything clean, then if you put something on it, then you see it, because it's something special, because it's not like there are like 10,000 things and a stack of books on top of it, and then there is 10 documents on top of it. It's just something. If you go into your place and with one look, you can see everything, and you can just potentially scan a room just with one look, because you know that everything else is in place. And if you then lose your keys, you can go through your apartment and be like, yeah, here the keys are not here, and here also not, and here also not. Then I guess, oh yeah, they are in my pocket. And that just saved you probably 30 minutes of searching for your keys. And also not only searching for your keys, but the potential loss of your keys. I mean, how much time does it take you to lose your keys? I lost my portemonnaie once in a Flixbus, and I just didn't have a portemonnaie. I just didn't have a banking card. I couldn't pay for things. I couldn't put my ID card anywhere I went. If you lose your portemonnaie, and today, of course, your phone, because the phone, I would argue, is even more important than the portemonnaie. Or if you, for example, lost your phone and your notebook at the same time because you lost your backpack somewhere. Now, what happens? You essentially cannot act anymore. Of course, you can do a certain amount of things, but essentially you're kind of unable to act. Of course, there's still the old way of doing things, like getting a card and then, or a map, and trying to navigate in the city in the car with the map in front of you, and then you can do things this way. But the thing is, they just take much more time. And what I think about it is this: even if the potential search time of being a chaotic and searching for everything, and the time for putting it just in place and just for organizing all the things, is exactly equal. So this means, on the one side, you spend 30 minutes organizing where your keys are. On the other side, you just search for them 30 minutes. Psychologically, the searching is much more demanding. And it's also like a very critical situation, because if you don't find your keys right now, you will sleep outdoors this day or at a friend's place. But you have to then come up with something completely new. Of course, this could make your life more exciting, but it's not planned. Do you really want to be kind of the ball within a big soccer field that's just being played around with, like doom, 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 doom? Or you want to be like the coach that's saying, yeah, this is where the ball goes, and then we put it to this player and this player. That's a very bad metaphor I just came up with randomly, because I didn't find the the translation of the metaphor that was in my mind in another language, but essentially what I'm saying is this. Even if the time is equal, just try to spend the time up front, because then your life is just so much easier.